Unlike the tradition of this church on Good Friday, which is to preach through the 7 last words as found in the Gospels, this year we are going to do another tradition for Good Friday called the Stations of the Cross. The Stations is not so much a counting down of hours and remembering the last words, but it is a journey from the condemnation by Pilate to the cross and the burial. The setting for this Stations is the experience of Madison during the pandemic of the last year. And so it is Good Friday. Whenever you join us in remembering the last hours of Jesus' life, it will be the noon hour when he was crucified. This year we will engage the journey from Jesus being condemned by Pilate in the judgment hall of the Antonia fortress, through the streets of Jerusalem, to the place of execution, traditionally cited on Calvary, otherwise known as Golgotha, the place of the skull.
The service is designed in 14 segments for reflection. Some of you will choose to make the pilgrimage in its entirety at one time. Others may want to move through it segment by segment over time. That is the blessing of an online experience.
The Stations of the Cross were developed as acts of devotion for early pilgrims who ventured to Jerusalem to walk the route of Jesus as he carried his cross to his death. Originally known as the Via Crucis, it later developed as the Via Dolorosa, the Way of Sorrows. Many cities and towns replicated the Stations on Good Friday for those who sought the pilgrimage but could not venture to Jerusalem. Today, many highly liturgical churches place those 14 stations along the walls of the sanctuary for personal as well as congregational pilgrimage and devotion.
All of us have experienced a difficult year that has been marked by the upheaval of pandemic and has brought to the surface in dramatic ways issues of justice and inequity. We have chosen to locate on this Good Friday Stations of the Cross in Madison and other locations that focus on the incarnation for us in our own experience. Let us begin our journey along the way of the cross, the way of sorrows.
God opens a gate so that the righteous may walk upon the path. The stone that God has chosen was rejected by the builders. This is the day of action and thanksgiving. It is a day of salvation and justice. It is a day of sorrow, but with the promise of rejoicing, for the steadfast love of the Lord endures forever.
Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus said, "You say so." But when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he did not answer. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear how many accusations they make against you?" But he gave him no answer, not even to a single charge, so that the governor was greatly amazed. So when Pilate saw that he could do nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning, he took some water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves." And after flogging Jesus, he handed him over to be crucified.
Jesus spent the night in a dungeon. He joined the increasing numbers who are locked up. He was facing a charge as a felon. He had a long list of accusations against him, which would be hung on his cross as a warning to others. This was understood by the powers of government and religion to be a deterrent. Today, in the shadow of the state capitol, a neighbor of First Church on the square, is the Dane County Courthouse and jail. We cannot easily begin the Good Friday pilgrimage without being in the places and among the people with whom Jesus spent his final hours, even to the last words exchanged with those condemned with him. These were words of promise and hope in an abandoned and isolated agony. All condemned, all abandoned, all options gone. Jesus asked us to visit those in prison. We remember this year the terror added by the pandemic during the outbreaks at the jail and among those incarcerated across the world with no way out.
The condemned are despised and rejected. When did you see me in prison and come to see me?